Hello, viewers of Jonathan Job Villarreal's Water Party. I'm Jonathan Job Villarreal, and I'm excited to share with you how we can expand our knowledge of the world through the English language. Our videos cover a range of topics such as literature, history, science, and more to provide you with a well-rounded learning experience, regardless of whether you are a beginner or an experienced learner. Our expertly curious videos offer captivating and enlightening content to help you enhance your language proficiency. Today, I want to dive into the captivating topic name, exploring the five ages of humanity in Hesiod's works and days. This ancient Greek poet's portrayal of the different eras of human existence offers us a unique perspective on the nature of human progress, morality, and societal evolution. In the epic poem Works and Days by Hesiod, an ancient Greek poet explores the idea of five ages of humanity, showing how morals and society decline over time. Hesiod uses vivid storytelling to describe different eras, starting from the prosperous and abundant Golden Age to the troubled and difficult Iron Age. Through these stories, Hesiod imparts wisdom and guidance on living a virtuous life and dealing with the challenges of being human. The Golden Age was a time of unmatched splendor, where humanity thrived in perfect harmony and happiness, completely unaware of suffering or sickness, and enjoying a life of abundance without any hardship. According to legend, the first humans were created from pure gold, living in the time of Cronus, a ruling god who governed the world. This period was also referred to as the Age of Prosperity, the Golden Era, or the Age of Saturn. During this time, human existence was markedly different from today. Nature provided them with an abundance of food, plentiful resources, and an ideal environment. Abundant fruits graze the land, crops flourish in the fertile soil, and the weather bestowed its kindness through mild showers and gentle breezes. Complaining and lamenting were unheard of. Humans lived like gods, free from worries and sorrow. There was no tedious work or exhaustion as hunger never affected anyone. Disease has no power over them, and old age and death were distant worries. Each day, people lived in harmony, unity, and eternal youthfulness. Wealth was shared, and evil deeds like greed, deceit, and theft were unheard of. Locks and fences were unnecessary because people lived with love, care, and solidarity towards one another, valuing honesty, trustworthiness, and honor. Life unfolded peacefully and naturally until they passed away, like a gentle slumber claiming them in the tranquility. As the earth was covered in darkness due to the departure of the golden humans, they began to a new journey. The mighty god Zeus entrusted them with a noble mission to become benevolent gods, not residing on Mount Olympus, but living among mortals as champions of truth, protectors of the weak. It was a privilege granted by Zeus himself to those who lived in the Golden Age under the rule of Cronus. Zeus' daughter, the goddess Dike, the embodiment of justice, was tasked with governing the world, ensuring that the new life would be as splendid as before. The Silver Age was a turbulent period under the powerful rule of Zeus, the king of the gods. It all began when Prometheus stirred things up by creating a new type of humans and taking fire from the gods to give to them. At the same time, Pandora, in a moment of recklessness, released the box of sins as a gift to humanity. However, unlike the previous golden generation, the Silver Age humans lacked the same brilliance and wisdom created from silver instead of gold. They were lacking the same grace and intelligence. As a result, the humans of Silver Age had to endure a difficult and challenging existence, full of hardships and struggles. Their lifespans were short and barely reaching a century, during which they mostly remained childlike, sheltered, and protected by their mothers. But as they reached adulthood, disputes, jealousy, and harm towards each other grew. This regard for the gods and failure to offer regular sacrifices angered Zeus. As a consequence, the humans were laid to rest in the depths of the dark earth by their own mothers, made their inevitable end. The souls of these unfortunate humans descended to the realm of Hades, becoming the souls of the miserable. The Silver Age was an era marked by unhappiness, conflict, and rebellion against the gods, as the humans dared to challenge the divine order. In the days of the Bronze Age, Zeus, the powerful ruler of the gods, created a new type of humans from the ash tree, known as the Bronze people. These individuals were born from the branches of the bronze spear, in stark contrast to the silver race. They were fierce and formidable with hearts as cold as winter, showing no mercy when it came to bloodshed and chaos. They felt satisfaction only in battles and conflicts, both in strong bodies, muscular limbs, capable of great feats. Instead of using their strength for farming and other tasks, they choose to wield it in warfare, ruthlessly killing each other. They built houses and weapons using bronze, as iron had not yet been discovered. During that time, the Bronze people rejected bread as their temperament, were savage and arrogant, and they reveled in constant bloodshed and warfare that seemed endless. That ceaselessly fighting continued until a day when no one was left alive on the face of the earth. The Bronze race perished due to their pride and boundless aggression, leaving behind a dark legacy. They had to depart from the land and descend into the abyss of Hades, devoid of any glory, thus bringing an end to the era of the Bronze people. As the turbulent age came to a close, chaos prevailed, prompting Zeus, along with Hermes, to devise a plan to cleanse humanity's sins with a massive flood. However, before implementing their grand scheme, Zeus and Hermes disguised themselves and set off as two wandering travelers on the fateful journey. The Age of Heroes in Greek mythology is a period that followed the great deluge brought about by Deucalion Pyrrha. During this era, the gods descended to earth and mingled with humans, giving rise to many demigod heroes. Life during the Age of Heroes was more prosperous than the preceding era and renowned for significant battles like those in Thebes and Troy. Those who died during this time felt peaceful abode in Elysium. However, the departure of the gods marked the end of this age. Even the goddess of justice, Astrea, who once governed this era, ascended to become the constellation Virgo. The Age of Heroes marked the end of the heroic period within Greek mythology. After the deluge, Zeus, son of Cronus, created a new generation of humans, the demigod heroes, stronger and more remarkable. They achieved great feats, yet their lives were marked by the hardships of war and conflicts. Nevertheless, in times of adversity, there were those who emerged to assist, demonstrating compassion and humanity. We should not view life from a pessimistic standpoint. Let us maintain faith and hope. facing challenges with a positive outlook. Only through patience and determination can life truly become meaningful and worth living. The Iron Age, a time of severe tyranny, is the darkest and most miserable era ever. Among the ancient chronicler, humans are now made of iron, their lives filled with labor and suffering with no end in sight. The gods have burdened humanity with unimaginable troubles, plunging this age into chaos and confusion. Humans now treat each other with cold indifference, lacking warmth and compassion. Filial piety and cherished traditions are abandoned, and true friendships are rare. Heart-wrenching stories about elderly parents left abandoned, filial duty forgotten, and honor cast aside. Virtue and goodness have lost their shine, overshadowed by the supreme authority of power. The wicked thrive on deceit and oppression, lightning spreading malicious lies. Conflict, violence, and war cling to humanity like an unyielding plague, an endless nightmare. Conscience and equity once revered goddesses, have been forced to abandon their graceful forms and return to the immortal realm of Mount Olympus. There is no place for them in this mortal world any longer. The gods themselves are angered by this Iron Age, withholding their blessings. From now on, humans must work hard and sweat for their sustenance. Hunting becomes a dangerous endeavor to obtain game meat, faces life-threatening dangers. Fishing in the treacherous ocean becomes necessary for survival. Enduring scorching heat, droughts, and floods becomes the norm in the pursuit of rice and fruits. The lifespan of humans in the Iron Age is shorter, plagued by old age and illness, and happiness looms like a dark cloud. Holding tightly to their lives with no relief in sight is like an octopus with its tentacles tightly wound around a rock. As the old saying goes, with no escape and cure in sight, hesitation and despair cover their every step, and hope seems like a distant, fading light in the dark and oppressive era. As the ancient sage once said, the Iron Age, a time of suffering and turmoil, where humanity has lost its way and the gods have turned their backs. The plight of humanity in this age is dire, and the challenges seem unsurmountable. Can they overcome the shackles of this Iron Age and find a path to redemption? Or will they remain trapped in its grip, hesitating and lost? Only time will tell. Hades was like, hey, we stuck in the dark Iron Age, where the gods have totally abandoned us. It's a time when chasing happiness is like trying to catch a greased pig. And most folks are knee-deep in constant misery. Even newborns are born looking old with silver hair. Kids don't respect their parents anymore. Siblings fight each other constantly. The bond between hosts and guests is a thing of the past. It's a ruthless world where the powerful call the shots. People deceive each other for their own gain. Every man for himself seems to be the motto of the day. In conclusion, His Worsen Days offers a thought-provoking reflection on the cyclical nature of human existence, as depicted through the 5 ages of humanity, from the blissful innocence of the Golden Age to the moral degradation of the Iron Age. His work serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of human actions and choices. Through his poetic storytelling, Hesiod encourages readers to ponder on the virtues of honesty, hard work, and fairness, while acknowledging the inevitability of change, and the importance of living a righteous life. Works and Days remains a timeless piece of literature that resonates with readers across generations, offering insights into the complexities of human nature and the enduring wisdom of ancient Greek philosophy. Thank you for joining me on this episode. Your questions, comments, and feedback are always welcome and appreciated. So please don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, please do hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more interesting and enlightening content. By hitting the notification bell, you'll be sure to never miss any very exciting and thought-provoking episodes. Don't forget to share our channel with your friends and family who may also find our content beneficial. We are committed to providing you with high quality, well-researched, and engaging content that will help you improve your English language skills and expand your knowledge. And I look forward to sharing more insightful and inspiring things with you in the near future.